You picture it, don't you? A canvas of emerald, stretching to the horizon, a symphony of exotic calls, a pristine sanctuary where life thrives in vibrant chaos. You imagine the sheer, untamed beauty of Earth's largest wilderness, a place of peace, of ancient secrets whispered among giant trees. You envision explorers pushing through dense foliage, discovering new species, marveling at untouched rivers. This idyllic vision, while enchanting, is a perilous deception. Because beneath that verdant canopy, the very air hums with a primeval threat. This is not merely a wild garden. It is a meticulously crafted death trap, a place where existence is a daily battle, and every shadow holds a predator. For millennia, this colossal breathing entity has been both a cradle of life and a graveyard. Its beauty is merely the most cunning lure, disguising an arena where the rules are simple: adapt or perish. It is a world constantly testing the limits of survival, where intelligence is the only true weapon against a relentless, unforgiving force of nature. And for our most ancient ancestors, this was the ultimate classroom, a crucible that forged the very intellect we possess today. Forget the picture postcards. The reality is far more brutal. Imagine a place where the ground itself might be a coil of muscle shifting beneath your boot, not earth, but a colossal serpent blending seamlessly with the roots and leaves, waiting to strike with lightning speed. The dappled sunlight filtering through the dense foliage isn't just picturesque. It's a camouflage artist's dream, perfect for the apex hunters. Those blinking shadows, they aren't just tricks of light. They are the eyes of a great feline hunter, a phantom of the jungle, capable of crushing bone with a single, precisely aimed bite. One misstep, one moment of inattention, and your journey ends. The serene rivers, reflecting the sky like polished glass, are perhaps the most insidious threat of all. They whisper promises of cool respite, but conceal horrors that defy imagination. A quick dip could turn into a feeding frenzy as razor-toothed hunters swarm, reducing flesh to sinew in moments. Or, far worse, a silent, colossal form, longer than a small dwelling, might emerge from the murk, wrapping around you with suffocating power, dragging you down into the inky depths, never to resurface. These aren't just fish, they are living blenders. These aren't just snakes, they are aquatic leviathans. Even stepping too close to the riverbank is an invitation to disaster. The calm surface can explode with terrifying force as a colossal reptilian predator, an armored behemoth larger than any car, erupts from the water, its jaws snapping shut with bone-shattering force. This isn't just about large, obvious monsters. This environment is engineered for death at every scale. A tiny amphibian, no bigger than your thumbnail, might carry enough neurotoxin on its skin to paralyze and kill a dozen full-grown individuals. A mosquito bite could deliver a microscopic assassin, slowly debilitating you. Every leaf, every branch, every drop of water could conceal an invisible executioner. Survival here is a constant, hyper-vigilant dance with oblivion. This is not just a jungle, it's a living, breathing gauntlet. And yet, as terrifying as the current dangers are, they pale in comparison to what once roamed this ancient land. For epochs, this region wasn't just dangerous, it was a prehistoric nightmare made manifest. Imagine a time when the world was younger, wilder, and built on a scale that defies modern comprehension. This emerald labyrinth was once a true coliseum, a battlefield for titans, where the very concept of survival of the fittest was etched in the fossil record. Picture a creature, a sloth, yes, but not the slow, gentle arborealists we know today. This was a ground sloth, a beast towering over a modern elephant, its massive claws capable of tearing down entire trees, its sheer bulk an unstoppable force. Imagine encountering that in the dense undergrowth, its colossal shadow falling upon you. It wasn't looking for leaves, it was looking for dominance, for whatever stood in its path. Then consider the rivers, already treacherous, but in that forgotten age, they were patrolled by crocodilians of truly mythical proportions. Not just larger than a car, but longer than a city bus. Their armored hides impervious to all but the most extreme attacks. their jaws capable of bisecting an unfortunate creature with a single crushing snap. These weren't mere predators, they were living siege engines, the undisputed rulers of the primeval waterways, making even the modern black caiman seem like a mere lizard. Their hunting grounds stretched for hundreds of miles, and any creature daring to approach the water's edge did so at its ultimate peril. The fear instilled by such a beast would be primal, paralyzing. And soaring above, or stalking the forest floor, were avian behemoths that defied all sense of proportion. Birds taller than any human, not with delicate beaks for seeds, but with massive, razor-sharp rostrums, designed by eons of evolution to pierce bone, to disembowel with a single devastating thrust. These feathered terrors weren't scavengers, they were active hunters, their powerful legs built for speed, their intelligence honed by relentless competition. The ground shook not just from massive mammals, but from the thundering strides of these apex avians. The air was filled with their guttural calls, signaling a hunt, a kill, or a territorial dispute. This ancient realm was a true monster mash, an ecosystem where every niche was filled by something monstrous, something engineered for extreme power, extreme defense, or extreme aggression. Life here was cheap, and death was a constant companion. It was a realm where even the largest, most formidable creatures had to constantly fight for their existence, locked in an eternal struggle for dominance. This was the ultimate evolutionary pressure cooker, a place where only the most adaptable, the most cunning, or the most powerful could hope to survive another dawn. And into this impossible, nightmare landscape stepped our ancestors. Not giants, not armored titans, not creatures born with venomous fangs or lightning reflexes. They were relatively small, physically unremarkable primates, armed with nothing but their fragile bodies and an unshakable will to survive. By all accounts, they should have been quickly extinguished, another footnote in the endless catalog of species devoured by this ancient, merciless world. The odds were beyond stacked against them. Every aspect of this environment screamed death to anything as vulnerable as a hairless biped. How could they possibly contend with ground sloths that could crush them, or crocodilians that could swallow them whole? How could they avoid the relentless, silent hunters that saw them as easy prey? How could they navigate a landscape where every plant could be poisonous, every insect a carrier of disease, every river a death trap? Logic dictates their immediate failure. Yet, they didn't just survive, they thrived. They didn't merely exist on the fringes, constantly fleeing. They became masters. They deciphered the labyrinth. They outmaneuvered the monsters. They didn't fight the jungle with brute force, they outthought it. This wasn't a story of physical might, but of intellectual conquest, a testament to the extraordinary power of the human mind when pushed to its absolute limits. Their journey through this primal crucible sculpted the very essence of human ingenuity, transforming fear into knowledge and vulnerability into unparalleled strength. Their survival wasn't a matter of luck, it was a testament to an intricate, evolving system of knowledge and applied intelligence. Our ancestors transformed the jungle from an insurmountable enemy into the greatest teacher humanity has ever known. They learned to speak its language, not with words, but with an unparalleled mastery of observation and deduction. They became living sensors. Every whisper in the leaves, every rustle in the undergrowth was a critical piece of information. Was it the gentle breeze or the stealthy movement of a great feline hunter? They learned to distinguish the subtle calls of birds, understanding which chirps signaled peace and which screamed alarm, indicating the presence of a predator or another threat. They deciphered the complex symphony of the forest, turning it into an early warning system, a dynamic map of safety and danger. Footprints were not just marks in the mud, they were detailed biographies of the jungle's inhabitants. The size, depth, and spacing of a print told them not only what creature had passed, but when it had passed, where it was going, and potentially why. Was it a solitary hunter on patrol, or a herd moving towards a water source? Was it injured, making it dangerous, or healthy, making it elusive? This wasn't guesswork, it was a sophisticated form of forensic tracking, honed over generations, providing vital intelligence in a world where ignorance meant immediate demise. They mapped the meandering rivers and obscure trails in their minds, creating vast, intricate mental atlases. They understood the seasonal changes, the ebb and flow of water, the locations of safe crossings, the prime fishing spots, and the territories of dangerous aquatic creatures. This wasn't just about finding their way. It was about strategically navigating a liquid maze, transforming deadly currents into pathways and treacherous banks into resource-rich havens. They understood that the water, while dangerous, was also the lifeblood of the forest, providing food, transport, and a means to escape. This intense environment forced our ancestors to become the very first scientists. They weren't counting coins or charting stars. They were calculating, constantly, relentlessly, how not to die. Every decision was a life or death hypothesis, tested against the unforgiving reality of the jungle. Their botany was exquisite. They identified thousands of plant species, meticulously categorizing them. Which berries were succulent and life-sustaining? Which roots provided crucial nutrients? And, most critically, which vibrant fruits, alluring flowers, or deceptively innocent leaves carried lethal toxins capable of shutting down organs or inducing agonizing death? They became living pharmacopoeias, understanding not only poisons, but also the medicinal properties of plants, remedies for snake bites, cures for infections, pain relievers, and fever reducers. This wasn't abstract knowledge. It was practical, empirical science, born from direct, often painful experimentation and generational wisdom. Their understanding of animal behavior was equally profound. They knew the hunting patterns of the great cats, the feeding times of the river monsters, the migration routes of prey animals. They knew when to approach cautiously and when to retreat silently. They observed the intricate social structures of primate groups, learning from their calls and movements. This deep ecological intelligence allowed them to anticipate, to plan, and to outsmart creatures far stronger and faster than themselves. They weren't just hunters, they were natural historians, anthropologists, and ethologists rolled into one. Toolmaking became an extension of their intellect. Simple stones were transformed into precision cutting instruments, branches into spears, vines into traps. They understood leverage, force, aerodynamics, and structural integrity without ever uttering those terms. These weren't just implements, they were manifestations of complex problem solving, allowing them to process food, construct shelters, and defend against threats that would otherwise overwhelm them. Each tool was a testament to their capacity for abstract thought and technological innovation. This intense pressure cooker of a jungle didn't just teach them survival skills, it fundamentally rewired their brains. The constant need for vigilance, for pattern recognition, for strategic planning, for complex decision-making pushed the evolution of our cognitive abilities to unprecedented heights. Consider the first mathematician's idea. It wasn't about numbers on a tablet, it was about probabilities. If this rain continues for another hour, how high will the river rise? Will it flood our camp? If that animal is moving at this speed, and I am moving at this speed, where will our paths intersect for the ambush? It was about spatial reasoning, understanding complex three-dimensional environments, remembering countless landmarks, and calculating trajectories for thrown weapons. It was about resource management. How many days until the fruit ripens? How much dried meat do we need to last until the next successful hunt? This was applied mathematics on the most fundamental level, critical for day-to-day existence. They developed sophisticated communication systems, not just simple grunts, but intricate calls and gestures that conveyed complex information about dangers, resources, and plans. This collaborative intelligence allowed them to hunt larger prey, defend against greater threats, and transmit knowledge across generations, ensuring that hard-won lessons were never lost. This was the foundation of human culture and collective learning. This ancient wilderness was the ultimate forge, shaping the raw materials of early hominids into the resilient, intelligent, and adaptable beings that would eventually spread across the globe. It demanded ingenuity, patience, courage, and an insatiable curiosity. It stripped away all non-essentials, leaving only the core drive to understand, to innovate, and to overcome. It proved that the greatest strength is not muscle, but mind. So, the next time you gaze upon an image of the jungle, or hear its name whispered, remember this: It is not just a green, endless, beautiful place. It is a testament to the primal power of nature, a place where death lurks in every shadow, and ancient monsters once reigned supreme. But more importantly, it is a monument to human resilience. It is the original proving ground, the first school, the ultimate teacher. It was here, in this immense emerald labyrinth, that survival was honed into the first science, and raw instinct was tempered into unparalleled intellect. It was here that our ancestors, through sheer will and brilliant cunning, stared down oblivion and emerged not just alive, but wiser, stronger, and more human than ever before. Their story is etched into our very DNA, a silent reminder that within each of us lies the adaptive genius born from a time when the world was wild and the price of failure was absolute. This is the unboxed world, where the jungle was the first teacher and humanity became its most astonishing pupil. And the lessons learned there, in the face of impossible odds, continue to resonate, shaping our capacity for innovation, problem-solving, and survival to this very day.